Hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is Toni. I do astrology and I do movement and I do art things. And that is what I'm here to do with you today. And I'm really excited to talk to you about the elements and your elemental makeup and how it can actually help you make decisions and help you do things like manifesting and healing and moving your life forward through understanding your own astro elemental makeup. So we're going to talk a bit about how to harmonize your elemental energies that may feel a little bit unbalanced. So yeah, that can actually be a really healing thing. So in astrology, I've become really kind of cognizant and familiar with the concept of alchemy. And alchemy is something that over time it's sort of an ancient practice of melding things together and transmuting matter, and it's a seemingly magical process of creation and combination, and it's at the very heart of alchemy are the elements, and so that's why they're so incredibly important to consider. So, what do they have to do with astrology? So, we're going to talk a little bit about that first. Astrology is an ancient practice. People have been doing it for years. Lots of different cultures all around the world have been practicing astrology. Once they noticed that there were bodies in the sky, not actual bodies in the sky, because that's a little morbid. But once they noticed that there were, planetary bodies, and astral bodies, uh, then astrology was born. And there are different cultures have different concepts of astrology. There is Vedic astrology, and there's sidereal. Okay, I always say that the wrong way, but yeah, there's different types of astrology. So if you go to different places all around the world, you'll see astrology is practiced a little bit differently. So, and it also began at a time when people were very closely tied in with their environment, with earth and air and fire and water. So, finally, one day, of course, modern science comes in and things kind of get twisted around. But the material world at one point was actually classified in a very philosophical way, in a way um, that included and was all encompassing of how people's emotional experiences, how they were actually experiencing the world around them, not necessarily fully emotional, because people's emotional bodies are actually very different. And so how one person experiences emotions are not necessarily the same as how another person experiences emotions, and we're going to get into that as we walk through each of the elements today. Toward the middle of this talk, we're going to break off. We're going to go into my little studio, and we're going to paint with the elements, and I've got a really cool surprise for you. One of my really great friends created something beautiful that we are combining together, so very excited. Um, so as we move more toward a scientific model, like the periodic table of elements, that sort of thing, we started to, notice that things were made up of smaller things. And instead of having just the four elements, we had lots of different elements. But when it comes down to it, each of those elements um, changes states of matter. So then we have the solid, the liquid, the gas, and the plasma. So we have solid, which would be earth, liquid, water, gas, which would be air, and plasma, which would be fire, which always kind of weirds me out because I think of plasma and I think of blood. But anyway, plasma TVs. So yeah, classical astrology's relationship with the elements has more to do with actual states of being rather than changes in those states. There are other cultures that have a different take on the elements. So for example, the Chinese system has more to do with changes in those states of being, and it's called zing. Um, so for example, they have two different modes that things can change in, the elements change. So they have wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. Those are the five elements in the Chinese system. So yeah, each astrological sign is associated with an element, and these elements put us in touch with what it means to be human. So I'm going to share my screen because I want to show you something. So here we go. Whenever you look at your chart, say you go to astro.com and you put in all your information, or astro-charts.com, whichever one you want to use. Whenever you put the information in there and you pull up your chart's going to look like a pie, and there are 12 pieces, just like this. And then you've got the signs that are on the outside. It usually doesn't look like this. This is just to demonstrate a concept right now. So yeah, the planets. So first, whenever you look at it, you'll see the planets that are in there. Like, let me see. I'm going to pull up one right now. We're going to be looking at Kurt Cobain's chart today. But when you look at it, here are all of the signs. Okay. You've got Cancer, Gemini, Taurus, Aries, blah, blah, blah. So you've got all of those. And each of these little glyphs here, those are those are planets. Those are all planets. Okay. And let me come back up here. Okay. So, well, what I do want to show you is that, like, the red ones, if you go on astro.com, I prefer astro.com. I like it. All of the red ones, those are fire. Okay, all of the blue ones are water. All of the yellow ones are air. All of the green ones are earth. Okay, so as you can see, Kurt Cobain here has every single one of the signs in his chart, and you do too. Okay, we all have Aries, and we all have Taurus, and we all have Virgo. So, and just because we don't have a planet located in a sign, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It still exists, and it still is expressed in different ways. It's just our elemental balance. It has to do with our elemental balance. So our elemental balance, bringing it back to elements. So when we look around this chart, you'll see that there are planets that sit in certain signs. And before you look at the sign and you interpret the sign itself, you're going to first look at the element. Okay? The element is the thing. A planet is first in an element, and then and then there's other things that you need to consider. But first, you want to consider the element that a planet is in when you're reading a chart, when you're reading your chart or anybody else's chart. Okay, if you're interested in doing that sort of thing. So yeah, we have Capricorn would be an earth, Sagittarius, fire, Scorpio, water, Libra, air, blah, blah, blah. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but you can see that each one is assigned. And it's also really cool because you can see how there is order to it. You have water, air, earth, fire, water, air, earth, fire. It's a pattern. As you go in here, we won't get into cardinal, fixed, or mutable right now. But here you have positive, negative, or yin and yang, whichever you want to call it, those polarities. And we can also talk about polarities at some point, because I know that that is something that is really, really kind of important to talk about too. But this is balancing that male and female energy, masculine and feminine, yin and yang. It doesn't necessarily you don't have to call it any one particular thing. It's just the concept of those, that energy, the positive and negative polarity. So for example, you've got Sagittarius and Scorpio. Sagittarius is a positive. Okay, you've got that positive. If you look at a battery, you've got the little plus sign. Okay, you've got the plus sign, and then you've got Scorpio, which is it's the feminine yin quality. So yang, yin, yang, yin. I hope that makes sense. So all of the earth and water elements are considered yin. All of the fire and air elements are considered yang. It's more the energetic quality of it. So the elemental balance that is represented in your chart, it represents your potential. Okay, so it's not like, oh my goodness, I have no water. What does that mean? And it just when you look at your chart, you'll notice the potential, and it's really interesting to. We'll talk about it a little bit later. But yeah, there are some people that are born with no water in their chart, and it's like, well, what does that mean? It's really interesting. We'll talk about that. Wherever planet is in your chart, it is first in the element. That's very important. So we're going to go ahead and wait, I'm going to stop my share. The air element, you have Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini. And the fire would be considered intuitive. Carl Jung actually did a lot of it. He was a fan of astrology, which is super cool. I didn't know until I started really, studying it. But Carl Jung, he uh, he equates fire with the intuitive type. He calls it the intuitive type. It's not necessarily like intuition, like we think of intuition, um, but it's more of a spark. So, and when I'm talking about each of these, I want you to remember too that just because I say that air is thinking, it doesn't mean that any of the other elements don't think. It just means that that's their foremost, like that's what they go to first. It's what they first resort to when it comes to time to like make decisions or solve problems or that do that sort of thing. So again, air is thinking, fire is intuitive, and the fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. You have earth, which is sensation based. Okay, they're going to go when it's time to make a decision, or when things get really interesting, they go first towards sensation, which is Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Then you've got the water signs, and they are the feeling type, and that's Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. So an element tells what a planet on your chart needs and how it can be happy. Okay, so so for example, if you have somebody who is a fire type and um, and you try to sit them down to talk about their feelings when they really just need to like go do something physical, um, it's something to consider. Like when I love looking at my family's charts and figuring out like, okay, I have got my sister is so beautiful. She is a water type though. And I am really more of an air type, and I tend to be more like, I want to talk about my feelings. And she would rather just sit in them and stew in them and wring them out and live them. So it's like, ooh, it's really kind of cool. But yeah, now that I looked at her chart and realized, oh, she's got a lot of water, it helps me to understand her and what she needs uh, so much better. And so yeah, right now it's Saturn, it's in Capricorn, and Capricorn is Earth, and Saturn is interested in ripening and developing things and the experience of being in an earth sign. So Saturn is pushing on the walls of what we once believed to be secure and what we once believed to be tangible and what we once believed to be true. We have Pluto. Pluto is also right next to Saturn, and it's the planet of transformation. And that one, and it's also sitting, there in Capricorn in the earth element, and it's asking us to consider what needs to be changed in our material world. So the sensory type one is all about, and the earth type is all about material world. Jupiter wants to amplify whatever is happening in a sign and to tell a good story about it. So, what is the story that is unfolding with this earthy, lens? So, so yeah, our charts, they all have every single element represented in them. So I'm going to once again share my screen with you. So yeah, here we go. We're going to talk a little bit about each of the elements. And as I do this, as I walk through this, I want you to consider, where does this show up for you? If it shows up in your body, where in your body does it show up? How does it show up? If you don't really resonate with one of them, that's okay. I mean, we all have each of these in our chart. So you are going to feel them. Even if they're not necessarily present in your chart, and we're going to look at a couple of charts that don't have these elements present. Yeah, we're going to talk, just notice how the element feels for you, on an emotional and physical level. So the earth type perceives, it perceives the material world the way that it is. Whoops. It feels secure in really seeing and touching and perceiving things with the senses. Everything possible is felt out and tested for its concrete value with the senses. The earth type, if you're an earthy person, you prefer to build a solid and practical basis for your future. So Taurus is one of those that's just like, Taurus is a second house, sort of like, I want to know where my money is coming from. I want to feel secure. It lives more in the here and the now. It's a lot more present. That's that feeling of being present and having your feet on the ground. That is an earthy sort of feeling. And if you tend to feel like you're floating through the air, there's a good chance that earth is not very present in your chart. So yeah, it's just something to think about. And it's an excellent eye for the world of matter. So just considering, just going outside, walking in the woods, earthy type of people are actually going to want to be around the earth more, and, going to forests and hanging out with trees. Okay, so earth is yin. It's grounding, heaviness, stability, wholeness. When you take, I'm over here, up here in the corner. I don't know if you can see me, but if you take your thumb and you take your ring finger and your pinky finger and you put them together, and then you put your piece fingers together and place them on the ground. That is the mudra. It's the Bu mudra. Okay, if you place them on the ground, it's grounding. It's a very grounding. And I'm doing it right now. I'm standing though, and I'm doing it on the table, and it's still very grounding to me. So, yeah. So Earth Yin is solidity and density, immobility. I don't know if you know people who are very, very earthy people, and they don't want to move. They will stay put. And I need those people in my life. They're grounding, they're secure. When you talk to them, it's like they're willing to stay with you for as long as possible. I love the earthy people. The base of the body is the body part that is ruled by earth and that yin. It's the base of the body, the legs, the feet. I know when I want to feel that earth energy, I'm going to kind of tap my feet on the ground. It's connected with your root chakra as well. So, I might just like even bounce up and down just so I can sense that earth chakra just kind of like boing, 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 moving towards the ground and back up, Yeah. So the affirmation is embodying all of the earth's essential qualities. I experience complete stability. Good stuff. We're going to get more into that too. So next, water, the water feeling type. It moves through the world through an emotional lens. So let's say if you are a Cancer or a Pisces or a Scorpio person, you are a water type. We didn't go through. So if you're an earth person, that means you're a Capricorn or you're a Virgo or you're a Taurus person. So once again, water, moves through the world through an emotional lens. And even if one of these really, really resonates with you more than anything, there's a good and you're like, wait a minute, I'm not, but my sun sign is not a water sign. There's probably a reason for that. It could be that your ascendant is a water type. I know that mine is a Pisces, and so it's like, oh, water type. So I do resonate with very much of the water type, even though my sun sign is an air sign. So again, water moves through the world through it with an emotional lens. They will accept or reject people, objects, and circumstances based on their feelings. Okay, so they're not necessarily going to think about it first, they're going to feel into it. They need to give a feeling value to everything. You know, does it feel good or does it not feel good? Is it pleasurable or is it not pleasurable? Like, is it pleasurable? Does it make me feel good in my body? The water type also is associated with your second chakra. Chakra is sweetness. So yeah, is it pleasurable? Do I enjoy this? Do I truly, truly enjoy hanging out with that guy? I don't know, you know. So it's not easy to explain why for a water person, it's not easy for him or her or they to explain why they feel bad about something or someone. They just do. And the water type tend to be super, super empathic as well. So when somebody walks in, um, they might feel, and if you are a water person, you might notice like an instant shift. Like somebody walks into the room and then all of a sudden it's like, you know, you feel that empathic, like whatever is happening with that person. So you can explain why you feel bad about someone or something. It's just like, I just do, you know. So water, when you think of water, it it washes and it wanders and it, you know, it seeps down into the ground and it permeates. So and if you think of it, a philosophical, you know, more emotional quality of those, deepening, that's water. That's the water type. um Water type is not really interested in the logic of feelings, more just the feeling of feelings. The air type, they're going to probably want to talk a little bit more about it. Earth people are probably going to be like, okay, how is this going to influence me practically, you know, in a practical way? So but yeah, water people are going to want to feel into it, and I'm just, I'm moving my body around because water makes me feel that way. So navigating based on his feelings provides security. So needing emotional involvement in order to function. So a water person needs emotional involvement in order to function. Chances are, if you are a water person and you had time, a lot of time in your home, by yourself, isolated, it was an extremely difficult thing for you, and you probably had to like leave. So yeah, this is the way that water people work. If the atmosphere feels good, a water person is open for communication, but if not, they might hide. So next we have the water. Oh, here's more on water. The water yin, sweetness, emotion, it's permeating. So the mudra is Jala mudra. So Jala mudra, you're going to actually take your pinky finger, just your pinky finger, and you're going to touch your thumb and your pinky finger together. And then you're going to have it's like the W sign. Check that out. Ain't that cool? Okay, so you're going to have it just like this. Mm-hmm. And you can put them up on your knees or whatever feels good. This is for fluidity, flexibility, hydration, adaptability. If you feel like, I need to be a little bit more adaptable. I'm an earth person, but I need some more adaptability. This is a great mudra to do. It's for fluidity, flexibility, hydration, adaptability. And the pelvic bowl is the region of the body that it governs. And the affirmation is, with greater fluidity, at all levels of being, I move through life smoothly and easily. So next we have fire, or the intuitive type. And this type of person is okay. So first it's Aries, Sagittarius, and Leo. Those are the fire people. And fire people have an unconscious knowing or inferring where something comes from or how it will evolve further. They're not so interested in the material form, like the like earth people are going to be interested in the material form of and qualities of an object, but they instantly ask themselves, where does it come from? What else can you do with it? What is the potential? They're always asking, what's the potential? What's the potential? Fire people. You know, I got that in my chart too. So they're focused on possibilities, discovery, the future, dynamic. They're playful. They dream about all kinds of possibilities in the future, but on the path toward the future, they may easily get distracted. Okay. They're going to, they might change their ideas and discover new possibilities and just be like, on the route to, getting your degree, you may discover that you actually like horseback riding. And so you're going to go do that. And then you're going to go do something else. And so that's blah, 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 blah. Fire. Fire also needs a good deal of freedom and exploration. And the world is full of possibilities. Routine work is really, really difficult for a fire person. They need more not practicality, but more spontaneity and more excitement. They need challenge. And so, fire is yang. It's all about pounce and excitement and enthusiasm and okay. Mars, Mars again. We talked about Mars last time. I prematurely released my video. Anyway, so yes, Mars is a fire. That is a fire. Rules over Aries. It's a fire planet. So fire. The mudra is the Surya mudra. And again, if you missed my last video, go ahead and check it out. We went over the Surya mudra. We went over some fire stuff, with Mars and how to anchor that, how to deal with it. So here it is. You just grab your ring finger, your thumb, you place them together just like that. Okay. That is the fire mudra. Okay. It's the Surya mudra. You can move them around. Okay. It's just kind of fun. You can just place them. For me, just placing them on my legs, it's just sort of silly. Like that's good for earth, all right. For water, I still want to move around a little bit, but with fire, I really want to get moving. So, so I might do a little dance, it's kind of fun. Energy, luminosity, transformation, enthusiasm, determination. We all need these things, right? We need them in our charts. We all have to have fire in order to move on with the world, Your solar plexus is the part of your body that fire governs. So yeah, there are lots of yoga moves that you can do and that sort of thing. You can ask me about that. Affirmation for the fire yang element is awakening my son's radiant energy. I live with abundant vitality. And again, if you missed the Mars video that I did last week, check that out. We really, really were doing a lot. We did a movement practice based on that was meant to sort of get you in touch with that sense of vitality and energy and excitement and how to use your Mars rather than feel like, oh my gosh, he's attacking me. So the air or thinking type. The air type wants to comprehend what something is. Air is going to be, and again, this is not, it doesn't mean that other people don't think, and it doesn't mean, so if you're an air person and you're thinking, yeah, but I always thought that I was intuitive. Okay, that doesn't mean that that's not true. It means that you very likely are intuitive. It's just that this is your go-to. The very first thing that you're going to go to when you're confronted in a situation. So air person wants to comprehend what something is. They're going to look at something and go, all right. So they need to connect facts in a logical way. in order to understand things. So the mind is that of an abstract thinker. So air people really love. It's really fun because I get these pings, but air people really love to pull things together, like pull strings, pull loose ends together and combine them, and then think of how you can make something different and a little bit more creative out of it. So they're very creative types of people. Um, they need to connect with other people and they need to discuss things. They need to connect with other people and discuss things and sort ideas out. There's always an other that is involved with air. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're extroverts, because I know that I am not, and I am an air person. But they need people. It's like you need to be able to bounce ideas off of them, or like for me, I need to collaborate with people in order to feel like I'm doing a great job. So they need to connect with other people. Flexible in thought and speech. They're going to consider different things. Need to be rational and logical to feel secure in the world. So things need to somehow make sense. They need explanations and they love to explain themselves. And again, this may or may not resonate with you if you're an air type. There may be other parts that resonate more with you if you're an air type. So it might be interesting to consider, like, okay, in what ways if I'm an air type, which of these really do seem to ring true for me? And which of the other elements ring true for you? Because it would be interesting to then look at your chart and just see which planets are expressed. So it's kind of interesting. And the air type will very likely have trouble with expressing their feelings, as these are absolutely irrational. Okay. And they have zero logic. So again, if you have water in your chart, a good amount of water in your chart, that might not be true for you. But a more air quality is, having trouble with expressing those feelings. So here is the mudra. The mudra for air, yang, is so yang. Again, air is yangi. Out. Every time I think of like air, fire, okay, again, they're above the earth. Water and earth are, down. So when up, down, plus, minus, yin, or yin, yang, feminine, masculine. Yeah, you hear what I'm saying? Okay, anyway, so air, yang. Here's the mudra. It's when you take your pointer finger, your index finger, and your thumb, and you wrap your thumb around your index finger. So that's that. That's the Vayu mudra. I practice yoga. I'm a yoga person, of course. I'm an air person, so I like lots of different things. Yeah, in yoga you have the different Vayus, lots of different Vayus, different air. Okay, there's air that comes in, there's air that comes out, there's air that. So there's a whole philosophy behind it. Super cool. Anyway, air, Vayu mudra. Okay, stands for mobility, lightness, sensitivity, openness, and gracefulness. Okay, the part of the body is the chest. So this is a really good one to actually work with right now. I know we just kind of got over the fires in California and that part of the world. I got a great friend that's in Oregon. Shout out to you, Miss Sonia. So yeah, that's the air quality. Okay, working with the chest, working with this, working with your air element. With the coronavirus that's going around right now, it's just, it's something to work with. And the affirmation to work with is, with greater lightness of being, I open my heart to embrace life completely. Whew, because yeah, it's hard. So that's nice. And finally, you've got the space ether. Now, you're not going to necessarily see the space or ether represented in a chart. And, we don't necessarily have that as part of our elemental makeup, or do we? it's a mystery. So with the space ether, the concept is that eventually the space or ether was added into the elements, the classical elements. And what this represents is the beginning. It's, where did all the elements come from? It's the beginning, it's the potential. So, so space ether, that is actually a thing. And from sound, or sound actually comes from the space. It's ultimate potential. It's, being relaxed and alert and waiting for something. It's just sensing it right now. So it's really kind of cool. So the mudra for this one is this one. It's the Akasha mudra. Okay, middle finger and thumb together, just like this. And this is for expansion and limitlessness, vastness, subtlety, and all pervasiveness. Oh my goodness. Pervasiveness. Ha! Pervasiveness. There we go. That's that. Okay, so just sense for that. And it's the throat chakra. Okay, throat chakra, the throat. This is the part of the body that it governs. Yeah, okay, so, and the affirmation for that is attuned to the spaciousness of my true being, I open my infinite possibilities. So such good stuff. So I wanted to look at a couple of charts with you. One of them is Kurt Cobain. I've studied this chart a lot because he is a very fascinating person. And if you're interested in getting into astrology and just studying astrology, just pick up some charts. And, whenever you like watch a music documentary or something, you get curious about someone, just look at their chart and Google. It's really fun. So here's Kurt Cobain. And when you look at this, you might be like, what? This doesn't make any sense. But when I look at it, okay, so we have, let's see, Earth, we've got this one. You have Taurus. Is there a planet there? Nope, that's the North Node right there. So nope, that's not, there's no planets there. And there are no planets in Capricorn. So we only have two, and they're not very heavily weighed planets. If we look at fire, let's look at Leo. Leo, there are no planets here in Leo. If we look at Aries, we don't have any planets in Aries. This is Saturn, and I can see that the little blue thing is actually over here in Pisces. So there's nothing in Aries. And if I look at Sagittarius down here, that next fire sign, there's nothing there either. So then, all right, so let's look at air. We've got Libra. I don't see any planets there in Libra. Okay. I'm looking at Gemini right now. Don't see any planets in Gemini. And now I'm over in Aquarius and I don't see anything in Aquarius. So that's really interesting. We're not seeing very much there. Now let's look at the water signs. And this is where I went, oh my goodness, Kurt Cobain. Must have. So here we've got, well, let's start with Cancer. Cancer, we've got his moon and we have his Jupiter. Okay, we have Pisces over here with Saturn and Venus and Mercury and the sun. We have a whole lot in Pisces in Kurt Cobain's chart. We have Neptune, which is an outer planet, so it doesn't weigh as much as like say Mars does right here. So yeah, we have got a pretty heavy representation of water in this chart. And if you look over here, I'm going to just blow this up a little bit. Okay, so if you go on astro.com and you pick up a chart or you put your stuff in there, you can actually see the elemental makeup of the chart. So F would stand for fire, A stands for air, E stands for earth, and W stands for water. So when you look at this chart, it's like, wow, you can really see that fire, he doesn't have very much fire in his chart. Air, actually, he has 0 fire in his chart. It just makes me go, what? What does that mean? So when you think about what that could mean, going back and thinking about fire and what the indicators of fire are. Fire has unconscious knowing or inferring where something comes from or how it will evolve further. If he has no fire in his chart, I wonder if he really, had a sense of, oh, there's possibility. Oh, because fire people also tend to be a little bit more, just excited about life. Ooh, ooh. Um, not very interested in the material form and qualities of an object, but instantly ask themselves, where does it come from? Okay, so yeah, there's not very much of that in Kurt Cobain's chart, focused on possibilities, discovery, the future. You know, it's sadly, I don't necessarily see that represented there in the chart. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's interesting just to consider. Again, astrology is not like an exact science, and you're not gonna necessarily be like, oh, this means this and that. Just everything when it comes to astrology is very. It's like one thing might correspond with another, but one thing does not cause another. So, so lack of fire. I've seen lots and lots of people that do have lack, they don't have fire in their chart, but they have other things that compensate for it, or they'll bring people into their lives that bring that fire into their lives rather than, so that sort of thing. So air. When I look at the air, I don't necessarily see planets. MC stands for the midheaven. That's a point in the chart, but that's not necessarily a planet. So there's really nothing going on here either. So he also didn't have very much air in his chart, or any at all. Earth. He has 2 outer planets in his Earth. Okay, he did have his north node in the Earth and AC, and that's for another day. But yeah, so Earth. We have not very much Earth, but look at water. We've got the moon, we have Jupiter, we have Mars and Neptune and the sun and Mercury and Venus and okay, so everything, okay, Saturn. We've got so many planets that are in water. And so he had a very, very watery chart. And so when we look back at the element of water, sweetness, emotion, permeating fluid. Um, when I think about Kurt Cobain and what was really going on for him, and there have been I've heard some quotes, people talking about Kurt Cobain and his what he was like when he was around them. They were like, wow, he truly made you feel like you were the only person on the planet that was there, that existed, and he really made you feel good about yourself. And so water feeling type of people are going to really connect with other people. They're going to just click in with them and talk with them and be with them. So yeah, so he was moving through the world with an emotional lens, almost like moving through the world without skin on, like how painful could that possibly be? So somebody who has that much water in their chart and not very much else is going to need to like develop some really good strategies for how to move through the world and and survive. So we're going to be breaking away for a little intuitive art journey, and we're going to be exploring each of the elements through sound and through paint. So literally, this is the kind of paint I have. This paint set. It's like a kid's paint set, so you can do that. It's super cheap. Grab yourself some paper. This is just it's a cheap sort of watercolor paper. Journal. You don't have to have a journal. You don't have to have any special paper. Just pick something up. It can be markers. You can have crayons. It doesn't matter as long as you're playing. You got to play with some art stuffs. And I just have a regular old paintbrush. I will probably use a couple of different paintbrushes in the video because I just like to do that sort of thing. But it's there for inspiration. They're for fun. Also, one more thing I want to tell you about the music that we're going to be listening to. was created by my good friend Lise, and she was the Angel Alchemy Academy with me. She's a dear, dear friend of mine, and she did an amazing job. And so, if you want to check her out on Instagram, she goes by Truth Seeker Sounds, and yeah, look her up. I'll post her information somewhere around here too. So, hey, so here we are. We are in my little room that I do art in, and I have once again, I've got my art things right here. But I wanted to give you a little bit of information before we really get started. This is intuitive. It's meant to be an intuitive art journey. And so what you're going to do is you're going to really listen to the music, and you're going to allow the music to guide you. And remember that everything that we've talked about, you know, each of the elements, we have the earth, air, fire, water. I want you to, that's my cat. I want you to just, you know, really sink into what we talked about, what we just discussed, and allow it to just really take you on a journey. You want to choose colors that are going to work for you. I chose very earthy type tones that makes sense for the earth. You know, red for fire, brown for the earth. I chose blue for water and yellow for air. Whatever works for you. If purple symbolizes earth for you, use it. You know, if it makes sense for you, use it. And I also want to encourage you to continue to come back to this practices as well. You can listen to it as many times as you want to, and you can come back and just like focus on earth or focus on air or gosh, just listen to it and move to it. So to the music. It's absolutely beautiful, incredible stuff. So all right, so let's get started.
So moving into a free-form improvisation around the 5 elements, and just trying to connect with energy and intention of what Toni has birthed into being. So seeing if we can bring that into a tangible soundscape, explore different textures and qualities. So let's give it a go and see where we find ourselves.
Hey, so I hope you really enjoyed that. We are wrapping up now, and as we're wrapping up, this is just a little tiny itty bitty bit of what what we can do with sound and the elements. And I would love to take this much, much, much deeper. And I wish I could have done it today, but I want to respect your time. You know, it's not fair to keep you here all day long. So I'm going to be diving a lot deeper into this on my YouTube channel. It's Toni Black. I also have I also have a website. It's going to be jupitersplayground.com. Right now it's Toni and Kim. So I'll post that up there as well. And you can email me at toni@toniandkim.com. Toni. That's Toni. For more information, once again, for more information on Lise's music, you can check her out at Truth Seeker Sounds on Instagram. I know that you can also find her here on Facebook, so make sure you check her out. And I plan to do a lot more work with this particular piece, with movement and diving even deeper to each one of the elements at a much deeper, longer level. I just wanted to kind of like touch on it today. And if you're interested in an astrology reading or, you know, just kind of connecting with me, that's okay. You can connect with me at lavlylivin at gmail.com or toni@toniandkim.com. And again, and once again, you can check out my YouTube channel and my website. So all right, so enjoy. I hope you really enjoyed it. Take care. Bye-bye.